odd new twist that Biden supporters and Black Lives Matters protesters are fighting with each other. They fought in Madison, Wisconsin. We also saw rioters in Portland targeted and attacked the Democrat Party of Oregon headquarters. What is going on here? Why are now they fighting with each other, David?
Well, what's going on here is something that we've talked about quite a bit before, and that is that these are the left wing turning on the left wing because the goal is anarchy and violence for some, whether it's Black Lives Matter, Antifa, some other group, some unnamed group, or individuals. They're all acting. Look at the way they arm themselves when they come. They're not coming for peaceful protests, and they're not worried either because in the cities like Portland and Seattle, prosecutors are dismissing the charges en masse against them. So why not push forward? Violence in any form is about taking down the American culture and their dream, whether it's anarchy or some other left-wing socialist dream.
Are Democrats just hoping this all goes away? Because nonstop rioting and by outfits like Antifa in Democrat-run cities did turn off millions of people on the Democrat Party. They lost at the federal, state, and local level. They may, so they may even see more losses in the House. And the historically strong minority support went toward Republicans, notably in Texas and Florida. So are Democrats just hoping this all goes away and people just ignore it? Because it's still going on, big time.
Some are probably hoping it goes away, but let's look at this from a different angle. I have told people for years that what we see is a goal that is being executed by the far left, by AOC, the socialist wing, Bernie Sanders, even further than socialist. And their goal is not based on this moment, it's based on the long term, unlike an election cycle. So when they break down pieces of the culture, when they tear down our trust in the elections, when they spend 4 years selling a fake narrative of Russia collusion, what are they doing? They're moving forward with their agenda, and Biden is only a factor as long as he's available to them to be used, but he can be tossed aside the moment they have something else where he's no longer useful to them.
And then we see conservatives, nobody's taking this seriously, few are taking this seriously, but it was striking that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's a sitting member of Congress, she tweeted that the names of, quote, Trump sycophants should be archived for future reference. And she's tweeting that, we need to know their names for the future. It sounds like that, they foresee some kind of revenge enacted via an incoming Biden administration. We've seen a group calling itself the, quote, Trump Accountability Project springing up, saying, remember what they did. And the website declares we should not allow these groups people to basically profit from, their backing of Trump. They're taking names, and it sounds like they're trying to enact revenge. I mean, as Biden is saying, we need unity. Your take on all of that, David? Final word.
Well, first of all, it's a farce, Mac, that Biden should be calling for unity. He didn't call for his supporters and his staffers to stop helping to raise money for these rioters. And the fact is that this, again, is about moving forward. You put together an enemies list. Don't we remember the last time a couple of regimes did that? We had the Bolshevik Revolution, an enemies list. We had what happened under Nazi Germany with an enemies list. Don't take it lightly. They have an idea that they are going to force 71 million plus or even more Americans who support Donald Trump, or frankly, anyone who supports America, into a position where they should be fearful. But, I talk to a lot of people on my radio show who are rational and reasonable people, and they say one thing, and I'll echo this for myself. Don't come for me or my family in any way, whether it's doxing, putting out public information, criminality, or further, God forbid, because if you do, you will lose. Americans are not going to put up with this. Reasonable Americans are not going to put up with an enemies list being put together.
Yeah, we've talked a lot on the show, you and I, David, about how the rhetoric from the top down needs to be about unity, it needs to be about peace, and it needs to be meaningful. I mean, we hear what you're saying, but it's also both sides. I think people don't want the divisiveness anymore. The U.S. is not a divisive country. It's not about the far left. It's not about the far right. It's either center right or center left. I mean, that's the way it goes, and that's the way this country historically has moved forward. So to even talk about any enemies lists or any of the militant activity on either side, it's not who the United States is. Your final word, David?
It is not. I fully agree with you. This country lives and breathes and evolves and gets better because we're successful, because we have opportunity for everyone that wants to take hold of it and build their dream. And when you talk about extremists, they're outside the norm of either party. Unfortunately, the left has to get control of their caucus.
Okay, David Webb, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Coming up, Texas Congressman Brian Babin. We're going to get you an update on what's going on at the border. What is going to happen to the president's border policies if there's an incoming Biden administration? That story next.